Hi, it's the MLM for this whole channel. I do have a new topic for today. Before I begin, I just would like to say, may the words and expressions of my mouth and the thoughts and meditations of my heart find favor and acceptance before you, Hashem. This is the continuation of the new series. It's not so new, but it is the newer series of personal stories and practical lessons to learn and or apply. And this is part number 10. And this is on the power of Ein Od Milvado. If you've never heard of that expression before, it means there is nothing but Hashem. You can look that up. And that is actually from a verse from Devarim, I believe it's 4:35. I'm pretty sure that is chapter 4, verse 35, where it says, Ata harei saladas ki Hashem hu Elokim eino milvado. That's the whole verse, the whole pasuk. So now I'm going to get to the story, and I just have to get to it right here in my notes here. So let me go ahead and find that. Okay. Just bear with me momentarily. So I can get to it here. Okay, here it is. The power of Ein Od Milvado. This is a first-hand account that happened to me. Now, it's very interesting because there's a hotline I started listening to thanks to my mother. She should live and be well. Imi Marie Hin L'Chaya Bas Charna, Admei V'Esrim. And I don't know how she found out about it. She heard about it from somebody else. I guess it's a hotline, and I'll include the information below as well. So please do, I mentioned this a few times, but I forgot in some of the videos that please look below too in the description, as I also put bullet points and sometimes some other information. So this hotline called Life With Beetachon, it's been around for quite a number of years already. And I think I've been listening for at least 4 or 5 years, and I think he's been around for longer than that. So it's a hotline on the phone. And people share different stories. He gives insights on the Parsha and other, very interesting things about Emunah and Beetachon to help you strengthen yourself. And, they stress Ein Od Milvado, and people share different miraculous stories that they've had. So it's really fantastic, and I highly recommend it. And you could hear it all over the world. He has different numbers for different parts of the country. So, also sometimes you hear the stories, and you're like, okay, so it happened to them, but that has never happened to me. So you can't always relate to what you hear when you yourself haven't experienced, a situation. But Chas v'Shalom, it shouldn't be something that's, hard for you, something difficult, a big challenge. But, you hear these stories and you're like, wow, it's amazing, right? But until you actually experience it yourself, kind of, you say, in living color, so to speak, then you're like, then it's a big wow, right? Okay, so this is my story. This happened, and I don't know the Hebrew date, but it was, and I don't know the day of the week. It was in English. It was July 6th of 21. Okay, so this is the story, and then I'll give you some more details. So when I got off, I was going somewhere shopping, and I got off the bus I was on, and then someone, I think, passed by me. He was outside of the bus. He wasn't on the bus. And he passed and he said, "Excuse me," or something. I don't know what he said. I can't really remember those fine little details in that part of the story. But I walked away, and then he said something. I don't know why, but I turned around and said, "What?" I don't know why I said that. And he asked my name, and I just walked away. I wasn't looking to converse with people, a stranger, whoever he was. I don't know. I don't do that. Then he started to follow me, and was talking about what did he do, and he was just kind of mumbling, kind of weird, like, I don't know where it came from, and I'm not sure if he was walking. I think he was walking with his bike. I don't think he was on the bike, because I don't think at that point he was. But then he started saying things, and he says, what did he do? Why wasn't I answering him? I was like, I know, clear, like he sounded like he was mixed up. I don't know what he was saying. And I said to him, just to stop following me, or I will call the police. I figured, let him kind of be a little bit scared, like I'm going to call the authorities, that he should stop bothering me. And he started saying things that weren't very nice, using words that we call expletives or other types of words that are unpleasant. And he continued to follow me. But now he was actually on the other side of the street. I don't know if at first he was on the same side of the street as me or not. But then as I was walking, he wasn't like near me, and I wasn't like fearful. I mean, there was plenty of people, and I think it might have already been dark out, not like very late at night, if I can remember correctly. But I didn't feel like threatened or anything in that way, and with any like situation where I felt like I needed to really do something. But it was just kind of mumbling and doing whatever, and then he kept talking, and like I said, he was on the other side of the street. And then I was just thinking about this because I had already been listening to this Life With Beetachon. That's why I brought it up in the beginning, where they talk about, MILVADO and doing that. And I've heard this before because I've read it on a card that I have. And let me see. I'm going to see if I can grab that card. So hold on. If you can, hopefully you can still hear me. I'm just walking in the room, part of the room where I'm in, to find this so then I can kind of read it off to you. And let's see. So there is an organization, and I don't know if they're doing this anymore. I think they might not be. But I was right. It is actually from Devarim 435. So it was an organization called Divrei Chizuk, and these are the words. If you've never seen, I have to hold it up to the camera. There we go. MILVADO, and then and it says it in the English transliteration. So that Hashem, He is God, and there is nothing else besides Him. So to keep saying this over and over, on the back of the card, it has some other information here, and then I'll get back to the story. So, and I know about this from other stories, and maybe I'll share that other story with you too. This is from Hagon Rav Chaim Volozhin, Zecher Tzadik Gadol Kadosh Uvracha for sure, from Nefesh HaChaim 3, 12 and 13, that cites the Gemara in Chulin Daf 7b. So meaning it's not just him saying it, although he was Gadol, great Gadol, it was also from the Gemara, and it teaches this. It says, if a person internalizes the pasuk, Hashem, and they're giving the translation in English, Hashem, He is God, there's nothing else besides Him. Hashem Hu Elokim, which is what that first part is, Eino Movado. But most people just usually say this Eino Movado part, but it's good to say the other part too. So what does he say? He will be protected from harmful forces. So I actually have this kind of like little wallet I have that I carry around, and I when I take things out of the little pouch on top here, it's the zipper doesn't work, but then I actually get to see that because it's an open little window. So I just wanted to share that with you in the video. So getting back to the story, so therefore I knew about the power of Eino Movado. I carry that card around with me for years. So I just said, oh, okay. And then, of course, listening on Life With Beetachon, it enforces it more. That's what's so good about this hotline, that it really, it keeps that, like I say, that spiritual muscle. Every day it gets activated, right? So I'll go back to my story. So then I decided to actually start saying Eino Movado. I didn't say Hashem. I don't think I said the Hashem Elokim part. I just said Eino Movado because a lot of people just use that. So I started to say it out loud. And I kept saying it louder. And in the meantime, that person, like I said, they were on the other side of the street on their bike. I don't know if he was on his bike already now, but or just walking with it. I don't remember. Maybe he was on his bike now. And I said it louder. And I kept saying it louder. And all of a sudden, I noticed that just like that, he turned his bike around away from me, but not completely. So I kept saying it louder again and louder, and eventually I didn't see him following me. It's like he literally vanished and disappeared. Like at first it was just like a lower, I was saying it, but maybe now I had to kind of bring it out more. So Baruch Hashem, I say Yishtabach Shemo and Gamzu Latova. And I say here, I never felt scared or threatened, but just realized that only Hashem can help, and unless you actually go through something, like I said this earlier, and say these words and see for yourself that it does work, you might not ever believe it, and you just say it anyway. That is the amazing part. Meaning you should just say it anyway. Even if it's good to just say those words anyway, just to be protected. Not that Chas v'Shalom you have to use it in a situation like mine wasn't, I wasn't terrified, I wasn't scared, but I just decided to just use that and to feel protected. So apparently whatever happened in his energy field or whatever that caused him to just disappear and never saw this person again, that's what happened. Now, getting back to Rav Chaim Volozhin and what he has to say about this, and I think it was I can't remember exactly because I know I read it somewhere. Let me see, I might actually have the Sefer. I think I might have it here. If I could find it real quickly as I'm speaking, because it's an amazing story of somebody who actually used this during the war. So I'd like to be able to read it. So just bear with me momentarily. It'll be worthwhile to hear this story the way it was written in this little sefer I have. So just give me a moment to find it. So Baruch Hashem, I have it here. That's right in front of me. So this sefer, while I'm finding it, I'm going to tell you what this sefer is that I read weekly. And I go through the commentary, and I've been doing it like I keep going through it continually, like over the years. Okay, so let me see, I'm almost finding it. Sorry about that. But I'll tell you, it's definitely going to be worthwhile once I find it. I'm pretty sure it's in this sefer, I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm hoping it's here. I thought I read it in this sefer. Hold on. I'm trying to see if I find it or not. If not, I'll just relate it to you. Yeah, I thought it was in this sefer. So just if you give me one more moment. If not, then I'll just share it with you. I apologize for having it here. It didn't dawn on me till I started telling this story that this is something that you'd want to hear. It's not a big little, it's one in English, but it's not, I'm not finding it. I apologize that it's taking me this long to locate it. Hoping I'll find it very soon. I might have passed it on the first round going through the pages here. Okay. So, hold on for the, let's see. It's got to be here. I'm pretty sure it was in this sefer. I'm just not finding it. That's very, very odd. I was sure. Oh! I found it. You see? I told you it was going to be worth it. I just passed it the other way. Okay, so pardon the long way around that I was trying to make up for where I should. Okay, so now, like I said, this will definitely be worthwhile, so I hope and I thank you for being patient. So this is from a sefer called A Letter for the Ages. It's called the Igeres HaRamban. Not the Rambam, it's the Ramban with a nun. And this was put out by Art School by Rav Avraham Chaim Foyer. This is what the little sefer looks like. I think they have it in a bigger edition. This is a small pocket-sized one. It's very small. So, in the Igeres, part of it, he says that he was talking about, actually, this Rav Chaim Volozhin. Because he was talking in the end, when it goes through, like, this is the chapter 29, and they go through different parts of the Igeres, and then they explain it. So this is actually towards the end of the Igeres, where it says that you should read this letter once a week and neglect none of it. Fulfill it, in doing so, walk with it forever in the ways of Hashem, may He be blessed. So one page here, like I said, I passed it on the way. I didn't know where exactly it was. So this is what he's talking about, exactly what I just shared with you. There is nothing besides Him. So I'm going to read just this one page because it's definitely worthwhile to hear. So Rav Chaim Volozhin, like we said before, from Nefesh HaChaim 3:12-13, he cites the Talmud, like we just said, Chulin 7b, which teaches if a person internalizes the verse, Hashem hu Elokim eino milvado. That's what it says. Hashem, he is God. There is nothing else besides him. Again, Devarim 4:35. He will be protected from harmful forces. And like I said, I experienced exactly that. I didn't say the whole thing, but I highly recommend you say the whole thing. Hashem hu Elokim ein od milvado. Okay. When one accepts Hashem's absolute sovereignty, meaning he's the only one, he places himself fully under his protective wing. Although nature contains many destructive elements, the man of faith understands that they are but marionettes, right? A marionette is a puppet in the hands of the Creator. So meaning you have to think of everyone's like a puppet. You just say, if you're in a state where you're always kind of fearful of things your whole life, you keep saying that, Hashem hu Elokim eino milvado, and write it down. I don't know if you can get those cards anymore, but it's worthwhile to even look it up online and try to print something out with those words. So like it says, you accept Hashem, that he controls everything. Nobody else controls anything. Anything else that tries to harm you cannot. Again, I've seen it. Now this is a greater story because of the situation, but it doesn't have to be. So now the next little paragraph is called Nature's Leash. So the Brisker Rav, who is Rav Yitzchak Zev Soloveitchik, was a descendant of Rav Chaim of Volozhin. So this is a descendant. The Brisker Rav is a descendant of the author of Nefesh HaChaim that we just mentioned. He testified how the statement of faith recorded in Nefesh HaChaim literally served as a guide through his life. When he was a young man, Reb Velvel, as the Brisker Rav was fondly known, was commanded to appear before the Russian draft board to be inducted into the Tsar's army. So this is in Russia, the Tsar's army. This fate was tantamount to both a spiritual and physical death sentence. As the date of his appearance neared, his father, who was Rav Chaim Brisker, instructed him to concentrate on the above passage from Nefesh HaChaim that we just said, Hashem hu Elokim eino milvado. To Rav Velvel's great relief, his meeting with the draft board came and he was exempted from the draft. That's one amazing story. Here's the next one. Later, when the Germans, Yimach Shemam, occupied Poland at the beginning of World War II, Reb Velvel fled from Warsaw to Vilna. The roads were filled with German troops and Nazis were everywhere. Yimach Shemam, the Zichron. The danger was awesome, yet Reb Velvel traveled along undaunted, for he never stopped reviewing the pledge of the Nefesh HaChaim. If you always think of Hashem, he will always think of you and protect you from all harm. Meaning he was walking around and it was as if either, he was immune. The Nazis didn't see him. So here's the best part of the story. Just once, it says, Reb Velvel was distracted and his mind wandered onto another thought, meaning he stopped thinking about Hashem and that he's eino milvado, there's nothing but except beside him, meaning no one else can do anything to him, right? Nothing beside him. So for that split second, he had wandered onto another thought, and what happened? Immediately, as if from nowhere, an armed Nazi approached him threateningly. That one split second, a Nazi saw, meaning he was as if invisible. All of a sudden, the Nazi noticed him. So what happened? In a flash, Reb Velvel collected his thoughts and focused on the Nefesh HaChaim, and the Nazi moved on. And that it says in parentheses from Rabbi Husseinu, page 170. So it must be a safer. So amazing. That one split second that he was distracted from connecting with Hashem, the Nazi appeared. A split second when he turned back his focus on what the Nefesh HaChaim said, the Nazi moved on. Amazing. So now it continues. Rabbi Yosef Leib Blach of Telza from Shirei Das 244 explains that natural forces which threaten mankind can be compared to a vicious dog with a long leash tied to its neck. When the animal pounces, the only way an intended victim can save himself is by calling to the dog's master to restrain the beast. If the victim fails to recognize the presence of the master, then he is truly in grave danger. Similarly, when man fails to perceive the, quote, leash upon the forces of nature, he indeed places himself at their mercy. So here's another amazing story. I mean, mine was also a story, but, to have the intention to always say those words, keep them always in your mind. To always say that. And nobody can harm you in any way. Just keep saying, eino milvado. Hashem, start first with Hashem hu Elokim. Ein o MILVADO. So very powerful. So I think it's important to internalize that message and never forget that we have Hashem, and He will always protect us as we keep Him in our that energy field of who we are, like saying it. And then again, if you don't say it all the time, of course, when you need it, and put the full intention into it. And I hope and pray that we will all merit to live and see the coming of Mashiach speedily in our days, and the rebuilding of our final and everlasting Beis HaMikdash. Amen. And thanks for watching.